welcome, guys. It's actually Friday evening for me. I just got off work, but you won't see this until sometime Saturday. But hello, it's Aaron, back for round two, and I decided to change the name of the podcast up a little bit. It's going to be Live This Week. It's kind of a play on words. I have a little bit of notes on here that I'm going to go over. I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit shorter. This is just kind of the things that I've been working on this week. Maybe you like them. I don't know. It's kind of helped me out a little bit. The first section is going to be just like if you've gone through a recent breakup, kind of things you can do to kind of help with that. It's a book I'm reading. Let me figure out the name of it because I've done forgotten. I've got it downloaded on my Kindle. It's Getting Past Your Breakup. It is by Susan Elliott. So if you want to check it out, I think I actually paid for this book, so it's taken me a little while to get through it. There'll probably at least another podcast to get through the rest of the book. Anyway, so these are my notes that I've got and some things that I've worked on this week. I'm going to talk about that first. We'll get through that section, and after we get through all of the stuff that I've worked on, and then I'll have a little bit of my spirituals, religious stuff at the end. So if you don't want to stay tuned for that, that's fine if you cut out. If you do, great. If not, I totally understand. But just kind of helped me out this week. I went to church last Sunday, so I feel pretty good about that, and I want to share what I learned. But yeah, let's get into it. So what I went over, the main thing of this week is be nice to yourself. Whenever you go through a breakup or any kind of hard time, it's very easy to be hard on yourself. If you mess up something, you're like, I'm so stupid, I can't do anything right. Don't do that. Turn negative into a positive. Go, I'm trying. I've made a mistake, but I usually do good. I'm working harder. Acknowledge that you did wrong, or acknowledge that something happened, but turn it into a positive. Turn it into, hey, I'm doing the best I can, or, I'm working hard to do better at this. You want to be able to do that. Just think about it as that. Think about how your self-talk is to yourself. Like, I'm so stupid, I'm so fat, I'm so unlovable. Something that normally goes through your head with all this stuff. Spin it around. Would you say that about your best friend? Would your best friend say that about you? I know mine would. I know Flish, if I said, I've said it before, I'm unlovable, and she tells me that I'm stupid. There's plenty of people that love me, and she's true. I have some great friends. I have some great parents. But yeah, just remember, negative thoughts are easy to get crept in. You just definitely want to don't let them overtake. Definitely cut that as you can. Side note, that's Jinx. Sometimes he's a good boy. I'm sure he'll be up in my space before this is over with. But so if you see a black head, that's Jinx. Another thing is whenever you go through a breakup, you start missing your ex, and you start thinking about them, and you see them as perfect. You forget about all the small things that they do that just aggravate, irk you. You see them as just being absolutely perfect. You have to do that. You have to see them who they are. Look at the quirks. Think about the things that they do that just drove you insane. Because nobody's perfect. And then just focus on those things as well. You can't think about all the good times. I mean, it's easy to think about those. That's what the brain does. It cuts out all the bad stuff to be able to preserve itself. It doesn't want to think about the bad things. It wants to think about all the good things. Well, when you do that, you put them on a pedestal, and then you constantly makes the thoughts get worse and worse and worse. Something interesting I found about this book they were talking about, they went through a study of people that had recently gone through a breakup and put them in an MRI machine, and they showed them a picture of the person that had broke their heart. And the area of the brain that lit up on the MRI machine was the same area of the brain, the same intensity as when they put people into an MRI scanner and put heat on their forearm until it was excruciating to where they couldn't stand it any longer. So when people say that, oh, it's just a breakup, get over it, well, you wouldn't expect me to go out with a third-degree burn and be able to perform my best like nothing happened. And it's the same kind of physical pain that goes off in your head. It's the same neurotransmitters that do that. So don't beat yourself up about feeling down and feeling depressed and hurting and just not wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to do your normal thing. It's because it's a true pain. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise. There's been studies that prove this. And just think about every day's a gift. Everything's a gift. I thought about this the other day. This came to my mind. I was kind of running late for work. I got stopped behind a red light, and I'm automatically like, oh, come on. I'm already running behind. I can't deal with this red light. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting worked up over a red light. It's 2 minutes. I'm only sitting here. That's 2 minutes that I don't have to do anything. I don't have to think. I can literally just sit there. I can sip on my coffee. That's 2 extra minutes of sipping on my coffee. It's a gift. So don't think about, try to get the negative thoughts out of your head, because negative just breeds negativity, and you definitely don't need that in your mental health. Then we got into the 3 types of people after a breakup. By the way, I've got my iPad down here that I've got all my notes on, so when I'm looking down, I'm reading over my notes to refresh myself. You've got the first is spend all kinds of time with futile effort and tears trying to win back your ex. The second is you go on as if nothing has ever happened. Continue on the same path that led you to where you're at now. You don't try to change anything, and guess what happens? You get into another relationship and you end up the same way. And then the third way, the way that I'm going about it, it's you take a step back and try to better yourself, and you try to make yourself happy, because you really can't be happy in a relationship unless you're happy with yourself first. You can't just put all your eggs in one basket and hope that that one person is going to make you complete and make you happy. You have to be happy on your own, and it's taken me 37 years to figure that out. And I'm working on it. I'm getting there. I'm not exactly where I want to be, but I'm definitely closer than when this time a month or 2 ago. You have to learn to put yourself first and nurture yourself. Allowing a spectrum of emotions to be felt, even through the breakup. You have to go through the emotions. You can't just block them out. That's unhealthy. I've learned just to accept it for what it is, accept that it happened, try not to dwell on it, and try to use different coping mechanisms to get through them. The path to healing has 3 main destinations: taking care of yourself, working out the grief, and dealing with challenges. So, pretty much just a reiteration of what I've already said. Work on yourself, make sure you're happy, deal with it, accept it, and just work with the challenges and make yourself a better person. You start having grief, best thing to do is exercise. I've read that numerous times. Another thing that I have is, I can't find it right now, because I don't know what I did with it. Oh, here it is. A happy light. We don't really get enough vitamin D in our life. You want at least a 10,000 lux light. Set it off at a 45-degree angle off to the side, shine it for 30 minutes a day. It simulates the sunlight, helps with the dopamine and serotonin in the brain. And I thought it was stupid until I started using it, and I was like, I actually do feel better after that. And of course, you're going to get tired of me hearing me say this, but journaling, meditation, that's been my go-to thing. I've tried grounding, I've tried affirmations. They don't really work for me. That's the thing, is think about your mental health of, you're given this toolkit, you're given this big toolbox. Okay. I may be working on a Ford and need a 1/2 inch. You may be working on a Toyota and need a 15 millimeter. What works for me doesn't always work for you. So you've got this toolbox full of all these different tools to help you get over and deal with these things. Not everyone's going to work. You've got to figure out what works for you, and just put it as your, think about it as your lid box. That's where your mostly grad stuff's going to be. It's nice to have other stuff in reserve in case they come along and you need something else, but you just got to try things. When it comes to relationship that's ended, you have to end communication. It's a priority. You have to give enough time and space to give peace, because if you just keep, your main thing is, I've got to win them back. I've got to bombard with messages. I've got to fix this, especially from a male standpoint, because men are entwined with the fixing a problem, and you just have to give space. And again, it's taken me a long time to figure that out, but you give yourself space, and I would say that I've gotten over this situation much easier by giving space and dealing with my emotions in a healthy way, because my old way was just drinking myself till I passed out every night, and that never worked out well. I just woke up the next day with a headache and super thirsty, and I'd either go to work or I'd do something. If it was a weekend, I would be sitting staring at these walls, and I guess what I'd be doing? I'd be cracking open another bottle, and there's no answers at the bottom of the bottle, and it's taken me a long time to figure that out. Side note, I have poured out all of my alcohol that I have upstairs. I have some bourbon down in my man cave that I have a friend that's wanting some of it. So I'm working on liquidating all that because it's just too easy to get to, and I don't want to fall back into that again. I'm done drinking. I feel so much better the 2 weeks that I've not drank than I have in a long time. I mean, it's not really worth it. I don't have the desire to want to drink anymore. I'm like, and it's funny, I don't know if it's just my working through it, or if it's just the going back to church and its feeling. I mean, I don't know, but I'm okay with it. I'm happy with whichever one it was. Another thing, it's hard to say, when you get broken up with, like, let's be friends. It's very, very hard to be friends with an ex because ex-lovers don't hold each other to the same standards as they do friends. There's that history, and there's a gray area of uncharted territory due to unfinished business, sore subjects, and off-limit discussions. Because you try to be friends, you're going to bring up, what did I do? Where did I go wrong? What can I get you back? Well, you just got to let and live die. And when you try to be friends, it never, in my experience, it never works out. And I've been broken up too with numerous times in here. Well, I still want to be your friend. Well, I got told that once, and I said, well, I already know how this ends, and I've not talked to her since because it's just no point. And it's too difficult. And plus, who wants to be friends with their ex that they still have feelings for and then have to hear or see them with their new person? I'm not trying to put myself through that kind of, sadomasochism. I mean, that's, no. Another thing is closure. You don't need closure. That one was a big one that I took away from this. Is it's sometimes you don't get closure. You don't need closure. You don't need answers to find closure. You just have to accept it, move along. No matter the loss, closure comes from inside you, not from the other person. Work through your stuff. Get out, work out, read, do something to better yourself, and just until you go through the grieving. It's just like, if somebody loses a loved one, you've got to go through make it to the acceptance part. Yeah, you're going to be angry. Yeah, you're going to be depressed. You're going to bargain. If you feel the need that you really need to talk to your ex and you really want to write, like, if you really want to know answers, I read in your journal. You can hear that again. I'm sure you're sick of that. Write it out in your journal, or write it out on a piece of paper, all the things you want to ask. Get your emotions out on a piece of paper, and then rip it up. You get your emotions out in a healthy way. You express them. And if you rip them up, you get to take out some aggression by ripping it up and throwing it away. But whatever you do not send it. Do not. How many times have you went through a breakup, sent that one last text message, and it puts it right over the edge? And it just... So don't do it. Just, if you want to write it. It's great. Healthy way to get it out. Write down what you want to know. Rip it up. Move on. The fact is, you have to accept that it's over. And you've been with that person. It was a relationship. It's like any other kind of relationship. I read somewhere they said all relationships are temporary. You either die or it ends. And I was like, okay, you just accept it for what you went through, what you've learned, what you gained, what you gave, and just think of it that way, and then just work through your emotions. It's going to suck. It's going to suck real bad. I mean, nothing about a breakup is great, and it's just a part of life. You just got to figure out how to deal with it to make you strong. I mean, think of it as an experience. I'm using different coping mechanisms to figure out how that I can become a better person and deal with my emotions better. So, in turn, this breakup made me a better person than what I was before the breakup. I get to focus on things that I love again. I get to focus on doing, hanging out with my dog. I get to read more. I get to work on my homework, which is not really the greatest thing. I get to do this podcast. But the main thing is I get to learn more about me. I mean, 37 years old, and I'm just now feeling like I actually know who I am and what it actually takes for me to be happy. And it comes back to the closure is accept the fact you think differently and let it go so you can find someone whose way of thinking is compatible with yours. again, goes back to the don't put your ex on a pedestal. I did that. You can't. You pick the flaws. Pick that. This was the track I was going. This was the track that they were on. We were too far apart. I need to find somebody that's at least parallel to me. We're going to the same destination. We may be off by a little bit, but the thing about tracks is a lot of times that a track will convene into another track as long as it's still going to the same direction and not splitting off. That's the best analogy that I can give for that. Another big mistake is continuing a physical relationship after giving up a committed relationship and its inherent responsibilities is a prescription for trouble. Don't break up and try to be friends with benefits. If it's dead, bury it. Don't sleep with it. That was the exact quote, and I liked it, and I was like, I'm going to use that. So that's the part that I've made it through from the book. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, as I feel like that my 25-minute long one last time was a little too long. Now we're getting to the church part. So I went to church last Sunday. So if you don't want to listen to the religious stuff and you just want to listen to the first part that I had to give and what I've worked through this week, now's a good time to exit. If you want to stay, great. I'd love for you to. But if not, totally get it. So church, we went over Matthew 20. And it talks about comparing yourself to others and being in competitions. So when you compare yourself to others, it turns into arrogance. You start beginning to think that I am owed something. I am owed something, so I become very arrogant, and I compare myself to somebody else. Well, look at them. Look what they've got. I deserve that. I should be getting more than that. And then when you compete with somebody, the same part is it runs into a competition. I'm competing against this person. Oh, well, if they did it in this amount of time, I'm going to do it faster. They don't care. If they did the best they could do, that's what best they could do. They're not trying to compete against me. What's it do? It causes me to complain, and God hates complaining, and grumbling breaks the heart of God and inner contentment. So try not to compare yourself to others, and don't make everything to a competition. So the things that it talks about is, so Matthew 20 talks about the workers that accepted a job at the beginning of this for one day's pay at the beginning of a shift at, I think, noon or 1, and then towards the end. And then the ones that only worked for like an hour got paid the same amount as the first. And the first and second started grumbling after they got no more money than what the people that only worked like an hour and a half. But they accepted the pay earlier on, but then they compared themselves to others, and then they started grumbling, even though if they would have never met those people, they would have been completely content with what they had, but they started comparing themselves to others. It talks about grace keeps gratitude. It's a gift. That's kind of where I go back to everything's a gift. I get to wake up in the morning and open my eyes. I get to drink that cup of coffee that I enjoy. I get to pet my dog. I get to hop in my Jeep that I love. I get to work on my Harley that's blown up. I get to do that because I forgot to check the oil. But that's about all I got. I do want to end in prayer. I did pick up this book from my gift shop. It is 365 Days of Prayer for Depression and Anxiety. And we're going to look for August 3rd. It's technically August 2nd, but you're going to see it on the 3rd, so we'll go with it. So, talks about the victory is his. The horse is made ready for the day of battle, but the victory belongs to the Lord. Proverbs 21:31. So now we're going to pray. There is no part in my life that is outside of your power, God. You are more than able at every turn in every situation to do what I cannot, but I still need to prepare myself. It is a necessity and privilege part of life to work to an end. Most do not have the luxury of devoting their lives to passion projects while neglecting the nitty-gritty of necessity, mundane work. There is honor in hard work, but I do not strive and toil for my worth. I do not work from a place of lack, but from the abundance of your heart. And when I have done all of that I can, I am yielding to your ways that are higher. The victory is yours, it belongs to you. When I have exalted my resources, I am fueled by your storehouse of abundance. I have access to draw from the place of any point. What a relief. Victorious One, thank you for the power at work in my life. Give me eyes to see your goodness and display in my life in little and large ways. Today, I draw from your strength. You are the source of everything I need. I rely on you, Lord. Do not let me down. And I'm going to add a little bit more to that. Dear Lord, thank you for giving me another day on this blessed earth, that I get to open my eyes and take a fresh breath. I pray that I have done you justice in the grace that you have given me. I am not able to thank you enough for all that you've given me. I ask you watch over all of these listeners that listen to this, all my friends, co-workers, family, loved ones. I hope you embrace them tonight and give them peace. Let them lay down on their heads tonight with a clear head. And I want you to please forgive me for all of my sins, because I am not worthy of your kingdom. But you feel that I am, as long as I repent my sins. And I want to thank you again. In your name I pray. Amen. Okay, that's all I got for this episode. So, again, any questions, comments, put them in the comments, message me, whatever. I've really thought about doing a live stream, bringing some people on, talk about different things. If you have any ideas, shoot them my way. I would love to hear them. Any way I can make this better. Again, this looks like a budget podcast because, well, it is. I'm poor. Help me. I'm poor. But anyway, everyone, have a good weekend. Thank you for tuning in if you made it this far, and God bless.